All right, so I think we're going to get started. It's 12 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you very much for attending this webinar today. We're going to be talking about how LCS is going to be almost migrated to PPAC. We're going to talk about a few little things you might not know. Not everything from LCS go to PPAC, but basically what it means for you. What are the risks? Obviously, your administration for all your ERP system, for your entire ERP system is going from one platform to another one. That there are huge risks if you're not carefully execute the steps. There are also an impact on your bottom line. What you have as costs will change when you go from LCS to PPAC, and obviously your operations, your everyday day-to-day operation when it comes to package deployment, when it comes to creating tickets, when it comes to data refreshes, when it comes to a lot of other things will be impacted. Today, we're going to be talking about this. It's going to be quite a lot of information to absorb. So why not just jumping in? Before we get started, very quick round of introduction. My name is Mo. I am a D365 F&O architect and speaker. I've been speaking on a wide range of issues, including licensing, automation, D365, Power Platform, and today we're going to talk about LCS to Power Platform. I have over 12 years of experience working with Dynamics Platform, and prior to that, I was also taking care of other IT-related tasks. Today with us, we have Nastaran as well. She's D365 F&O architect, lead developer. She has over 10 years of experience working with Dynamics. And both Nastaran and myself, we have been involved in multiple migration projects from LCS to PPAC. Prior to that, I was heavily also involved in doing a lot of administration in LCS. So yeah, we are hoping that today we're going to be transferring a big portion of that knowledge that's usable to you so that you can navigate this migration as smooth as possible. Very quick introduction on our company. We are Devantic 365. We are a Microsoft solution partner with over a decade of experience in implementing F&O, CE, Power Platform, Business Central, data analytics, and AI projects. We are a Microsoft designated partner. We have 3 designations from Microsoft, basically in business applications, digital app and innovation, and data and AI. These designations just show a proven track record of all the work we have done in Microsoft ecosystem, many successful projects delivered, and all the commitment to make sure our clients are getting the best services when it comes to Microsoft technologies. So as I already spoke about, we've been in business for over 10 years. We have over 50 employees. We have done over 200 engagements across different business applications. Our team members collectively have done over 1,000 implementations. We have people with over 25, 30 years of experience only in ERP implementation projects. And finally, we are very proud to have almost all of our consultants certified. We have over 55 certifications from Microsoft. I know we're going to be talking about a lot of educational stuff here. I just want to make sure, some of the people in the audience might be like, okay, I understand this. This might be very complicated. There's a lot of risk involved. I don't want to break anything and finally have my production environment or even our UAT or the dev environments not working for a long period of time. That's why I just want to put it out there. We do have a free assessment that we can provide to you. It will actually take care of everything when it comes to the migration, capacity, releases, integration, ISVs, data refreshes, environments, how your security and governance will change. It will actually be only done within 2 weeks. You will walk out with that assessment with a 100% ready position when it comes to migration. That includes a blueprint for your target environment in PPAC. It'll include a clear migration roadmap, and it will be a document ready for your executive team to decide how much is it going to cost me, how long it's going to be done, and what are the benefits of doing it. We do have an exclusive offer for the webinar attendees today. If you're interested to hear about this, our 2-week package where you will take care of all the risks that you're going to be facing, will give you all these deliverables. Just feel free to scan that barcode, that QR code, and then we will be very happy to talk to you about it. All right, with that being said, I am going to talk about our agenda today. So basically, number one thing we're going to talk about what is changing, just to make sure everyone's on the same page. LCS to PPAC transition is happening, when it's going to happen, and how it's going to happen. Next, we're going to talk about what happens after migration. What kind of value are you as an organization going to derive from this migration to PPAC? how it's going to affect you financially and operationally. So obviously, you're going to be having a lot of PPAC-based environments, not LCS-based environments. The cost model is different. It will actually be more advantageous, and that's the good news in this when it comes to PPAC, but also your day-to-day operations, your scripts when it deploys packages to your environments, your data refresh, those are going to change. As I said earlier, we have worked with a number of clients already, in transitioning their LCS to PPAC. And we do have a migration framework that we're more than happy to share with the community here, where we will be talking about what you should do in order to minimize your risk and maximize your investment return. And this is, again, a proven recipe that we have been following for many of our clients. And the next two sections will be presented by Nastaran. And number one, we'll talk about a very deep dive on PPAC environments. What is, how it looks like, what is the architecture, what are things you're going to talk, you have to care about, elasticity, stuff like that. Then we'll go to a live demo, pretty technical at that point, where we will be talking about what is a developer experience when it comes to PPAC development. And finally, we'll have the closing notes. All right, why this is important to you, and obviously on this call, we have people with different background, coming from different, roles. If you are in top management and in group 1 or group 2, which is the IT staff, I think this is the most important for you to learn about this and educate yourself. If you're in the third group, which is the end users, this is still important, but you are supposed to get these environments properly up and running. So it might be a little bit less concerning for yourself. But obviously, if you're in top management, CIO, director of IT, VP of IT, you want to always watch out for your costs of running the entire ecosystem, which is completely separate from your D365 F&O licenses, right? You want to know how long this project is going to take. Obviously, there are many projects in any ERP project we work in. There are months ends, there are integration projects. So how is this timeline and how it's going to affect everything else that's ongoing and affecting your ERP? And how are you going to make sure that everything is going to be stable throughout the project? If you're a developer in second 2, developer, admin, DevOps manager, you definitely want to learn about this, and you definitely want to make sure that you're going to be stable throughout the project and beyond. So what is changing? Basically, all the governance of all your environments will go from LCS to PPAC. That includes tier 1 to tier 5 environments. So the CHEs, as we call them, or development environments, or tier 1s. Your UAT or sandbox or T2, and all the other tiers, so 3, 4, and 5, they will no longer be in LCS. Your production environment as well will not be administered from LCS. In the future, you will have one unified tenant level governance, including your Power Platform apps, your Dynamics 365 CE, and beyond, as well as your Dynamics 365 ERP or F&O in one place, and not having to do some of them in LCS and some in PPAC. Monitoring and lifecycle control is 100% going to be also in PPAC for all those environments. As it comes for dates, Microsoft, they announced that February 16 is going to be the cutoff date for all new projects, where every new implementation of D365 F&O has to happen in PPAC. Even though we have heard about some exceptions and granted to some of these customers, we always advise against it because essentially you have to move to PPAC. So even if you ask for an extension now, eventually you have to say, hey, I have a migration project to do. So why not just, going through the pain now and get over with it. So for all the existing clients, there have been some announcements from Microsoft. It's going to be end of 2026. We have heard rumors that might not hold up anymore. But again, our recommendation to our clients is that the sooner you can get over with this, the better it is. Give yourself enough time so that, if you have other priorities, they come in and you have to stop the project, you have the luxury of stopping and starting again. So this is one of the misconceptions that we have seen throughout the community, is that everything is going from LCS to PPAC. Not everything goes from LCS to PPAC. The most important part of LCS goes to PPAC, and that is the environment management and operations. So in all the operations in there will go to PPAC. There are also 2 other portals. The most important of which you might not have heard about is the Dynamics 365 implementation portal. So when it comes to all those methodology and go live readiness, especially for new project, this is more relevant. We want to make sure you have all the checkboxes in place before Microsoft, they give you a production environment and all that. They will go to this portal called Dynamics 365 Implementation Portal. I'll show you a very quick screenshot of that, and then you can just get familiar with it, but it's really nothing complicated. The complicated part is obviously the operations management and environment management and operations. All the ticketing, for example, if you want to create tickets, we know Microsoft deprecated that a while ago, so that will be through PPAC as well. And there are other features. There are the ALM features, source control, work items, CI/CD, telemetry, diagnostics. Some of them were already, like source control was a little bit, integrated into LCS, or we had telemetry data, we had diagnostics inside LCS. Those are going to go also to Azure DevOps, App Insight, and other platforms that have not been yet announced. So yeah, these are other features that are equally important. Example, you want to know what's going on with your environment, telemetry data, diagnostics. Some part of it is in PPAC, but App Insight is really the tool that Microsoft now is recommending to do all that. So yeah, we talked about Dynamics 365 Implementation Portal. So this is used for go live readiness and methodology. You would see exact, if you have been to LCS enough number of times, you definitely recognize this top bar where you have your methodology of where you are in your implementation. It is very important when it comes to new implementation. For existing ones, I tend to think we don't use it as much, but that exists just for your information if you're already on D365. Obviously, the big elephant in the room, Power Platform Admin Center, or PPAC. This is just a view of how it looks. Later in the presentation, we'll go deeper into how it works. I'm just having a screenshot from the environments page. Very similar to the dynamic CE environment, so really nothing different from that when you look at the screen. Obviously, behind the scene, there are a lot of differences. This is just a summary page. This is one of the takeouts, I would say, from this presentation today, is what goes from LCS to PPAC and what goes, other stuff that are going to other applications. I will not go over it because I just talked about it, but it's good to know what goes where. All right, roadmap. So I already talked about the February 16 date and a future date for existing client, but this is not something that Microsoft just announced. This is PPAC for F&O, or for Dynamics 365 ERP, has been announced quite a few years ago. In fact, in 2020, Microsoft, they started talking about project operation trials within PPAC. Then we could do admin trials in PPAC. That continued, but how you can do a template-based deployment in PPAC. Microsoft came up with the concept of unified development, UDEs, back in 2023. We talked about how package deployment is going to work. Then we talked about the UDE environment, USE environment, excuse me. These are the tier 2 environments that we call them tier 2 in LCS. And then there were a lot of discussion about how data refresh is going to work. So, towards the second part of that period, 2024, we had a lot of discussion about what is data copying and transactionless copy and all that works. Elastic compute, this is something this time we'll touch on a little bit later today. And then finally, sometime in the early 2024, early 2025, late 2024, Microsoft also announced the unified prod environments and their readiness in a short period of time. Obviously, that doesn't happen. Microsoft, they're still trying to figure out for existing client how to do the full migration. However, we are here. Microsoft did already the announcement that as early as February 16, new implementation will have to go to PPAC, and then we are waiting to hear the future date for the existing client to do this migration. The last communication from Microsoft is that it's going to happen by the end of 2026. Again, our strong recommendation is that get started with something, evaluate where you are, how much work you have, before Microsoft come in and say, hey, you only have 6 months. You've already done a big part of the transition. All right, so we know this is something that Microsoft are enforcing and asking clients to do, but are there really benefits or values in doing so? The answer is yes. You do get quite a lot of values from this migration. Number one is that you're going to be aligned with all Microsoft roadmaps, not only when it concerns D365, but also Copilot, right? As you know, a lot of administration for Copilot right now is also happening in PPAC. all your administration for Power Platform stuff, for Dynamic CE, all that is also happening in PPAC. Your Power Automates, your Power Apps, all that. So it's really advantageous where you don't have to have two set of people when working and knowing LCS, how it works, and then another set of people knowing how PPAC works. And then you can take advantage of a lot of other features that are now native to Power Platform Admin Center and Power Platform itself. Unified administration across D365 Power Platform, I already talked about this. You have a modernized governance model. Instead of what you had in LCS, it was very poorly developed. It was very slow. The screens, the way they were designed, were very poorly designed. So you're coming into a proven platform that has been used for many years. It's an API ready. In fact, you can run PowerShells within Power Platform itself, Power Platform Admin Center itself. You do have integration to Dataverse, native integration to Dataverse, native integration to Power Apps, to Power Automate. So really that modernized piece is really important. And as a result of doing this migration, the sooner you do it, the sooner you make sure your custom code is properly protected. You have your ISV solution integration and business data all properly transitioned before anything happens to them. Just a simple example, in LCS, when you talk about history of packages, Microsoft, they do have a retention, and they were trying to put that in place, but when it comes to PPAC, that's already a native feature. So really a lot of great things, and the sooner you migrate to PPAC, the sooner you're going to take advantage of those features. So in this slide, I'm going to talk about financially how it impacts you from a financial standpoint. Again, you're really focusing on that environment piece of it. There are many other things, telemetry, all that. They won't have a significant financial impact, but when it comes to environments, there is this very important consideration to make, is that when, mistakenly clicked on. Okay, there. When it comes to environments, you have two types. You have the CHEs, where they will cost you anywhere between 500 to 800 USD, depending on how long they are shut down, because you have that ability to shut them down and save on cost. You'll save anywhere between $500 to $800 per CHE or per tier 1 environment. Just to give you an example, typically we see 5 CHEs per implementation, and that would mean that you're going to save $36,000 that's per year. You're going to be saving $36,000 per year only on 5 CHEs. There's a caveat here, and that is if you are allowing you're requiring your developers to still have a VM to be able to develop, even if it's a PPAC-based environment, then the cost here is going to be offset to some point, because now you got rid of a CHE as an Azure VM, and then you spin another one that you're paying in some shape or form. So that is something to consider. The second thing is what you see on the right-hand side is your cost of capacity. We'll talk about that shortly here, but whenever you spin an environment in PPAC, you consume capacity from Dataverse, your Dataverse capacity. And that capacity tends to be very expensive. As you can see here, it's $40 a month per gigabyte. So these are really the two factors you want to take into consideration. The big saving, though, comes when we talk about sandboxes, tier 2 and higher. Why? Because you cannot shut them down. They are going to be running forever. As long as the moment you buy them, you're going to have them. As long as you go to Microsoft, hey, I don't need it. Spinning them is quite a lengthy process. It requires a Microsoft tickets, and it requires involving some people from Microsoft. In PPAC, it's much easier to spin them. It's much easier to spin them down, and they only cost you the capacity. They don't cost you anything beyond that. That's really the real advantage, and that's why we strongly believe that moving your environment from the other one, from LCS to PPAC, is going to bring you about a good financial saving. All right, so I'm going to talk about our proven migration framework, and then the next sections will be presented by Nastaran. This is a migration framework that we have used for a number of our clients. It really makes sure that you are taking care of your risks, and there are a significant number of risks we have seen. We have experience across multiple clients where they start something and then they run into roadblocks, and then they solve something, and you have to open ticket with Microsoft and make sure they know it. And so you really wanna make sure that you have enough time, so that if you run into anything like that, you will not be stuck by a ticket that's not being answered properly by Microsoft. Before I talk about the migration approach itself, this is a list that I would like to present to you, and I think this is another takeaway from you guys. For you guys, is what do I need before even I get started? What do I need? I highly recommend that you take note of this and try to go through it one by one. Number one is the capacity. It's really, really, really important. I could say almost 7 out of 10 clients we have worked with, they do have a problem with their capacity when we start the project. And then that already takes time, because you cannot just go in and say, hey, I'm going to delete the data, right? You cannot just do that, because even if it's a tier 2 test environment, those data, you need them for testing and so on. Of course, a production environment data, deleting data in production is even more critical. So really, capacity is number one. Number two is who is owning your environments. The way security roles are laid out in LCS, there are 4 security roles. In practice, it's only 3. And the way it's done in PPAC is completely different, where in PPAC, you could have actually per environment security and access control. So how are you going to do that, right? Do you have roles? Do you have an admin? Do you have a developer? If you have a partner, that's also important. Is the partner part of your LCS? So you want to make sure that, if they come in and say, hey, I wasn't accessing your LCS, I was full owner, now I need a PPAC admin, that might be a big no from your security team, because a PPAC admin can control well beyond just D365 F&O environments. It could actually control a lot of other things. Your Copilot, Power Platform, a lot of other things. Do you have LCS processes? Are you dependent on LCS for some of your processes? Are they documented? If they're documented, how are you going to do them in PPAC? Because obviously PPAC is a different reality. Do you have admin accounts where you spin environment in LCS, where you push packages from DevOps to LCS, where you run your automation? How are those admin accounts going to be changing their roles, right? Because those admin accounts, at the end of the day, they have roles assigned so that they can push packages from DevOps to LCS, or processes from LCS to DevOps, or so on and so forth. So you want to make sure you know what those admin accounts are and if they have the proper access for the future state. Our automation script dependent on LCS. That's another important piece. LCS does have an API. It's more or less working. It's useful, especially when it comes to package deployment and all that. Do you have those ready to be transformed for PPAC? What about monitoring, right? Before in LCS, you did have the monitoring. That's been deprecated. It's been going to a number of places. Once it's going to be gone, once it's going to be gone to LCS, are you able to do the same monitoring you're doing in PPAC? Our admin and developer teams train. Your admins are going to start creating environments, spinning down environments, refreshing data, deploying packages. Your developers need to use their Visual Studio to connect. So there are a lot of things to do before you get started. Once you get started, you have 2 phases, phase 1 and phase 2. We highly recommend you do it in 2 phases. Phase 1 basically will be to create a unified development environment, a unified sandbox environment, do an end-to-end development data refresh lifecycle, making sure your ISVs, your integration, your Power Platform connections, your Power Automate, Power Apps, everything's connected to that. If you're doing any integration with ISVs that are critical, your order syncing and stuff like that. Make sure you do smoke testing end to end. You cannot just say, oh, okay, everything compiles, is great. You do need your business users or your business process owners to come in and do some end-to-end processes, to make sure everything, at least at a high level, works. You want to make sure you document your migration strategy. Depending on your environment, the risk could be less or more. We highly recommend, if you have anything more than 3 or 4 environments, including your UDE, you definitely need to have a migration strategy. What is going to be transferred? How production is going to be gone to PPAC? Who is going to create that ticket? What's the timeline? How is it affecting other things that are ongoing in in the pipeline and affecting our ERP. And then obviously you want to be in a very executive ready position. So you tell them this is the cost, this is the timeline, and that's how it's going to be working. This reduces significantly your risk that we have seen. Many of our clients, they run into this risk. Suddenly they didn't have that UAT environment ready in neither of those places because they thought that the UD, the PPAC based USC is going to work, and they got rid of their UAT. Things like that happen, so you want to really make sure you don't go full blown before you know all the risks. So some of the key risks that will be addressed if you do the two-phase approach. Number one, custom code compatibility. Number one priority, number one task that you want to make sure is up and running. Your ISV solution alignment and compatibility. Extremely important. Your DevOps pipeline reconfiguration. They're not going to be the same when it comes to PPAC. They have to be reconfigured. They have to be pushing packages to PPAC as opposed to LCS and all that. Integration dependencies. You could be connecting through OData, that's fine. If you're using any other thing, there might be, especially if it's like Power Platform or Power Apps, you want to make sure that's under control. Dataverse capacity, we talked about this. That's number one in your checklist. And then there's also, we have heard about this a lot where they say, hey, let's do some part in LCS and the other part in PPAC. For example, the production environment in PPAC, there are a lot of limitations when it comes to that. So even though we can have a short window where you do parallel run, you really want to make sure that you minimize that because it comes with a lot of risks. For example, you could have a package that's up and running completely in your PPAC environments. When you deploy it to your production environment through that, it's missing some dependencies. So it's critical to have that in mind. So this is the full blown. Obviously, once you have that POC, once you have identify all your issues and you solve them with Microsoft or internally or with your ISVs, with your integration partners and whoever it is, you can go ahead and do the full migration, decommission your LCS environments one by one, train your admin team, your developer team, your IT team to be self-sufficient. Make sure you have your lifecycle procedures, your DevOps pipeline, your code deployment, database refresh, all that properly documented. And then you also have your DevOps fully aligned with the new reality of PPAC. This is my last slide. So using that methodology I just talked to you about, we had a client, they had 2,000 users, they had 12 environments, and they were ready to go to PPAC. They needed really assurance that the migration is going to be seamless. We did use this for phase one. POC, validated all their migration scripts, all their LCS dependent processes. We let them know about all the platform, limitations that they had. And finally, what they had in that particular case, they had actually very important data encryption policy limitation that they couldn't get in PPAC. We actually created a ticket with Microsoft, and Microsoft are in the process of resolving that. Apart from that, they're 100% ready for the full migration. All right. So with that, I'm going to pass the mic to Nastaran. Do you want to go ahead and share your screen, Nastaran?
Sure. And thank you, Mon. Thank you, everyone, for joining this session and staying with us. I hope that you find this session valuable. Mo, could you please stop the sharing so I can share the screen?
Stop.
Thank you. Okay, can you see my screen? Are you more Grantley? Can you see my screen? Okay. Okay, so in the next slide, I would like to talk about the PPAC environments and the architecture in details. So we get ourselves familiar and we know what is going to be changed in details for admins and developers. First of all, you might notice that the F&O environments that will be created in PPAC will have the specific name. The developer environment will call UDE, the sandbox environment will call USC, and the production environment will call UPE. Just like all the software developer lifecycle, we have to develop and customize things in the development environment, and we have to validate it in the sandbox environment, which is USC, and then we deploy it to the UPE. From the architecture perspective, on the left side, you will see the LCS architecture. As you can see, there are less components comparing to the right side, which is a Power Platform Admin Center architecture. And there are less layers, and we will see that LCS is dedicated to the F&O, which means that we don't have that much flexibility to scale this product, to integrate it with different products. But on the other side, when you see the Power Platform Admin Center, you will see that we have different components, different layers, and one of the important of this component is the Dataverse, because this Dataverse is common between Dynamics products, and it will give us more capability for integration, for automation. The other thing that it is really good for admins, these APIs that it is provided using this Power Platform. So in summary, Microsoft wants to provide a unified experience for admins, so they manage their environments related to all Dynamics products in one place. Um, you might heard about the elastic database, elastic computing. I want to a little bit explain this because it was really interesting for me, and I think that it would be interesting for admins to know that. First of all, in the LCS, when we want to launch a new sandbox, we have to decide about the tier of sandbox, and the pricing will be different based on the tier. We know that tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, and they will get expensive as we choose the higher tier. In the unified environment like USE and UPE, we don't follow this concept. The concept is mostly based on the Power Platform request, or on the in the other word, Power Platform API calls. It means that if your environment consume more Power Platform requests, it needs to be more powerful. So it needs more resources. So this elastic compute is referred to this, that Microsoft will automatically scale up your environment based on this PPR. If you need more PPR, you need to address more PPR, then automatically your environment will be scaled up without any downtime. But if no, you don't need the to address this PPR comparing to the before, then it will scaling down, but in the natural downtime, like when you deploy the customization, you are doing the maintenance. How you can how you can know about your PPR, or you know that if you run out of this PPR, what you need to do. When you buy a license, when you buy a tenant subscription, by default you will get 500,000 PPR as a capacity, compute capacity. And when you buy user licenses, again you gain this PPR for your environments. And once you run out of these PPRs, you can also buy more with the add-on packs through the Power Platform. Here I actually put the comparison from different aspects of LCS environment and unified environments. The two important one is that the sandbox and production in unified environments will following the same performance model. The compute model that I just described will be the same for UPE and USE, but UDE is not doesn't follow this model. In the LCS, we know that the sandbox and production are different completely. Another interesting point is that the unified environment can scale up to 80 AOS instances, which is not possible in LCS. And in LCS, as you can see, maximum, I think that we can have 12 AOS. For sure, when the architecture of a platform will be changed, architecture of the environments will be changed. For admin and developer would be couple of changes, and they need to update themselves. For admins, now when you migrate completely to PPAC, PPAC become your main admin tool. You have to familiar yourself with the Power Platform APIs, because this will give you a great chance to automate everything, automate updating your environment, automate creating the environments. And another big benefit is that now that everything is on the Power Platform, you can start using the Copilot agent as an admin agent. So couple of admin operation can be done with the PPAC admin agent. Power Platform will support a couple of operations using the PowerShell, which we call it PAC CLI. Again, you can create environment, update environment manually or automatically. One point that you have to consider that you have to apply changes on your build and release pipeline in your Azure DevOps, because now the package is not for LCS, it's for PPAC. So you need to create unified package and deploy it to the environment which is in the PPAC. The other great thing for the PPAC is the security model and governance model. Before, LCS was like an isolated platform that it has its own role, and with those roles you just handle the environments there. But in PPAC, the security model will be synchronized with your Azure portal and also admin center, so you can define the security groups. And the other good thing is that you can leverage the service principal feature in PPAC. For sure, the hot fixes, updates, and any support tickets should be handled in the PPAC. For developer, previously developers should do their work in the CHE. CHE was like a VM that everything was there locally, the SQL, the Visual Studio, the development tool, and also the Dynamics app, all of them were in one VM. But now Microsoft put the application on the cloud. So the database and the application is on the cloud, and the development tool is on your local machine or local workstation, anywhere that you want. The big change is that whatever you develop after that, you need to just deploy it to the online environment. So to be honest, from my experience comparing to the last year, I've noticed that the performance of UD has been increased. The debugging become faster, and comparing to the CHE, the debugging is much more faster. Previously, at the beginning, UD was a little bit slow, but now they are actually operating smoothly. The one point that I want to add that because now the application is on cloud, the infrastructure is on cloud, sometimes you might not be able to solve the technical issue, especially if it is about the service disruption from Microsoft. Another big benefit that I want to add here is that now developer that working with UD and UD is based on the Dataverse, they can leverage more tools. They can develop custom agent in the Visual Studio, and using MCP, they can connect it to the F&O data. Okay, so I want to just show the changes in the PPAC and also in Visual Studio shortly. First of all, you know that this is the Power Platform Admin Center where we manage the environment, and also the other things is not only for the environments. If you want to create a new F&O environments, you need to go to the Manage and Environment section, and as you can see here, there are lots of there is a list of environments. This is environments for sure. It's not only for F&O. This is for other Dynamics products. And before you start creating an environment, it's good that you check your Dataverse capacity. So how you can check this capacity? You should go to the licensing part and click on the Dataverse. And here you can check your Dataverse database and the capacity you have. Once you ensure that you have enough capacity, you can move ahead. Even though if you don't have enough capacity, you might be able to create environments and move forward. But I've heard that Microsoft will enforce the capacity and the storage. So you have to, at the end, buy capacity and make sure that you are have enough available storage. Okay, so let's quickly create an F&O environment. First of all, as I mentioned, you can create it using the UI, or you can creating using the PowerShell or even the pipelines. The type of the environment for all the F&O environment would be sandbox or production. We don't create developer. This developer is not for F&O. And let's call this environment name UD03. And I want to add something here. This environment group will kind of representative of your LCS project. Because in the LCS project, we have an implementation project with couple of environments. So we want to group all the environments related to one project on the same name. So I want to show you something interesting. Let me duplicate this tab. So for your F&O implementation project, you need to create an environment group, and I call it Dev Analytic F&O implementation. And also you can link it to the Dynamics implementation portal. So on the rules, you can apply different rules like security, governance, any rules that it's aligned with your organization policy. Beside that, also Microsoft added this rule, which is Dynamics 365 implementation project. When you add it and add your users, apply the changes, then what happened? Microsoft will add all the environments of this environment group to your portal. Let me open that portal. Yeah. So here you see this is the implementation portal, and I can see all the projects. And this DBA F&O implementation was created automatically through the PPAC. And when I click on it, under the environments, it will show me the environment that is under that environment group. And I cannot edit it here for sure. Okay. Yeah, I think that yeah, so this is the environment group. Let's back to creating the environment here. Yeah, so we choose that environment group. Automatically this one will be turned on, but if it wasn't, you have to ensure that this toggle is on, then go to the next. You create, you choose the right language, right currency, and this security group, it's really important. So again, it's based on your organization policy. You define the security group and restrict the access to this environment based on the purpose. And then you will create a URL for the CRM environment that will be linked to this environment. And for sure, don't forget to turn on this toggle, because we want to install Dynamics apps. Another interesting point that I want to add is about this drop-down. This called ERP template. So if you want to install F&O in future, you can use this drop-down and choose the F&O template instead of installing the app manually yourself. Right now, again, this feature is in preview. And I think that you should wait until it becomes publicly available and use it. I won't click on save because I've already created an environment like this one. The other update from Microsoft is that they have added this tab in the Power Platform, so you can check what is the type of this environment. Is it UDE? Is it USE? And how many AOS it has. Okay. Another interesting thing that I want to add is about this CRM environment that is linked. There you can check the operation history on your environment. For example, I've applied some customization and deploy it here. And I can see it here. If it is failed, then I can go and check the logs from this section. Yeah, so I think that for the PPAC, the important thing is this: you can use UI to refresh the data of the environment. You can check the history, see a couple of operation here. Yeah, and beside that, I wanted to add this for admins, that if you want to update your build agent, remember that in the create deployable package, there is a new option which actually create a unified package from your code. The important thing is that you update this task version to the newer version. Now I want to talk more about the Visual Studio part. So imagine that you already installed this Power Platform tools. Once you install it, you will see this option in the Visual Studio. You need to connect to the Dataverse of the environment you're admin, like the one that I just showed it to you. And once you connect to that environment, it will download the assets and everything for you. Yes, here in this folder. And then you need to install this extension here. Also, if I click on it, you will see that there are all the standard metadata of D365 downloaded automatically. And then you need to get latest of your custom metadata and then configure the metadata here in this menu with these two paths. Once you did that, then you can build your code and deploy it to the environment. From development perspective, creating extension, doing customization wouldn't be changed comparing to the previous time. The only thing that will be changed is that whatever we develop, we have to deploy it after building. So there are a couple of options here. You can deploy the models with this option. Like this is our custom model. You can deploy it, or you can build the models. And in building the models, there is an option. Again, you can deploy it to the environment. Also on the project, also you have this option to deploy it to the environment. I will run this just to show you quickly. Yeah, and beside this, because the SQL, the database is remote, you need to request for just-in-time access, and you need to use this SQL credential. You write that access request and then request, and then it will give you the server name, the database name, and you can connect to that SQL. And now I want to show you the operation history here. Once I have done this deployment and I request for the GIT access. So here in the operation history, you see this is in progress. This is the project that I tried to deploy, and also this is the request that I had for the accessing the database. I think that I almost explained the important points. Let's back to the presentation. Okay. For sure, there would be gaps and limitation because still Microsoft hasn't finalized the journey. For example, the users, the clients who are using the commerce product should stay in LCS. It's not supported in PPAC yet. There are a couple of features that exist in LCS, but we don't have it in the PPAC. And as a developer, I would say that one of the important thing is that in LCS, we have an update calendar that we can pause the updates. For in the PPAC, we don't have this feature. Right now, we cannot have a write access to the USC database, to the sandbox database, which means that we will have a problem for the post refresh scripts. Also, the backup will be retained for 28 days, but I think that probably Microsoft apply changes. We know that this journey is evolving and we have to keep ourselves up to date. I have to say that before, the financial reporting add-in was should be installed using Microsoft support, and now Microsoft make it happen in PPAC and we can install ourselves. The right access to the USC database will be available soon. And also another interesting feature is that Microsoft wants to put a button in the LCS to be able to migrate the environment from LCS to PPAC. However, this is in development and they are just doing the proof of concept, so it's not it's not certain when they will release that. Okay, as closing notes, I want to add this, that first of all, you should consider this fact that right now you cannot migrate your prod to PPAC. It is not finalized, but you have this option to request the early access. But because it is not publicly available, you should know that once Microsoft finalizes it and make it available, you have only 12 months to complete your migration. And remember, until that you haven't migrated your production to the PPAC, you should keep 1 or 2 LCS sandboxes in the LCS. You shouldn't migrate them because you need it for deployment, package deployment, and other stuff. I would suggest that start your POC, create one UD, one USC, and start to validate them. I would suggest that it's better to use VMs instead of local workstation for UD for developers. And also plan your operational learning, because it will take time that admin and developer update themselves. Remember, still there are open issues, so keep yourself updated and follow the best practices. And for that, you can follow our channel. Thank you, everyone.
All right. Thank you very much, Nastaran. Thank you, everyone, for being here today. So one more time, I know this is a lot of complexity to take care of. You know, this is potentially the first time that you probably hear about a lot of these things. We do have our assessment package. I would just want to emphasize one more time, and what we will do for you, we'll take care of all the things that we talked about today. Your capacity, your environment mapping between LCS to PPAC, how your release pipelines will be affected, how your refresh pipelines will be affected, all your integration to your multiple environments, to your non-prod environments and prod, and issues that arises from any ISV integrations. How your security and governance model changes. Obviously, that is because now you have a new set of security roles and a new set of security governance actually for PPAC. That will be a 2-week exercise where we will provide to you a readiness scorecard. Are you ready? On a scale of 1 to 10, how ready are you? What is the target environment blueprint in PPAC? Every environment in LCS will have a corresponding, or sometimes we don't need to have a corresponding environment. So you'll have that specific mapping. You'll have a migration roadmap, and then you'll have a report ready for you guys to get started on the full migration. That package is only exclusively today available for our webinar attendees. So just feel free to just scan that QR code, and then we'll be more than happy to talk to you about how we can decrease the significant risk that you're going to bump into as a result of this migration, and we'll help you navigate all those waters very smoothly. Can we go to the next slide? Yeah, so with that, we're going to open the floor for any questions. But if you need to reach out to us for any questions beyond this presentation today, you have our contact info there, myself and Nastaran. If you have any other questions as well, feel free to send an email or book us on your email address. This recording, as Granthi already pointed out, will be available on the learners platform. So if you'd like to review it later on, you could definitely do that.